We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. So, what is going on and why is the market dropping and why won't it stop? We will answer that question. As a matter of fact, I will answer it right now. We will go over news and charts. Okay. So, let's take a brief moment to review how we got here. There's a big Gann date. You know, I follow the work of William Gann. There's a big Gann date. It's actually today, right? And when you have these big dates from William Gann, it's like a form of seasonality. Frequently, the trend accelerates into the date and then reverses or stops. Okay. So we had a combination of two things going on. We had Bybit getting hacked for $1.4 billion. And since there's no government backing for crypto, we don't know and still don't know, right, what happened when Bybit had to bring back $1.4 billion. Like, where was that money? Most likely, as of now, it was lent. Their reserves were lent to some leveraged player. And then that leveraged player had to give the money back, and they had to liquidate their entire portfolio. And it may be as simple as that. As simple as that, right? Then you have what's going on at centralized exchanges, okay? In other words, if you trade on Binance, if you trade on Bybit, in other words, it's generally considered cool. Like, yeah, I trade perps. You know, I like leverage. Okay. Well, you know what these characters are doing? And it's very simple. They're using, I think, this forced selling event to lure people in, right? Liquidate them, make hundreds of millions of dollars, and then when it's over, which we hope is soon, they just scoop up all the spot. Everybody, the narrative turns. Everybody goes, oh my God, I don't like crypto anymore. And all this levered liquidation that that just occurs regularly, right? It's boring now. Oh, $500 million liquidated, whatever. It's boring. It happens every day. Why is it happening every day? It's just pump.fun. It feels like it. So perp trading and never-ending liquidations, along with whatever levered blow up is happening somewhere, we don't know who it is yet, which is part of the problem, leads to this cascading sell-off, right? Now, what does this have to do with the fundamental value of crypto, DeFi, especially crypto and AI? Literally nothing, but everybody's bags melt when you have liquidation and forced selling. If you weren't here for FTX or 2008, it's exactly the same thing. Matter of fact, all kinds of stuff is going around the market in legacy where, you know, like, for example, the last time Starbucks laid off corporate employees was July of 2008. That was 3 months before Lehman Brothers blew up and you had a mass liquidation event in legacy. Okay. And there's all kinds of other stuff popping up, particularly when it comes to NVIDIA, right? And total fraud. In other words, NVIDIA has been selling chips to China through an entity in Singapore. The conspiracy theory guys in stocks have been talking about this for months, years even. Then there's also phony baloney with accounting at some of the big tech firms and one particular NVIDIA supplier or customer. And then the market is just starting to figure this out, right? Like, stocks are 4% off its all-time high, and crypto is, you know, Bitcoin is down 30%, and alts have like totally vaporized. So you have all that going on, and then that turns into a giant storm of uncertainty, right? Because we don't know who's liquidating. And then there's the whole threat of what could go on with stocks. And then it just avalanches lower as Binance and all these characters liquidate everybody. And then the next thing you know, everyone's changed the narrative, right? Everyone's changed the narrative. Everyone's like, oh, Bitcoin's no good. The only good thing that happened here is, I think, the destruction of pump.fund. Because I think if there is a legitimate part of what's happening here, it's that Kanye and Trump and Dave Portnoy, that excess has been wiped out of the market. In that sense, it's great, right? Like Solana, all the stuff that was garbage just disappeared, which is great because you can't really have a sustained real bull market. Like, people are probably wondering, like, is the cycle over? Like, that's the new conversation, right? Why is it going lower? Which I've kind of explained. And then, is the cycle over? And then I'm like, what cycle? Was there a cycle? There was the meme coin super cycle where all this garbage pumped and everybody got lured into a casino where everyone lost, right? There was no cycle. You had one rally or two rallies in like quality stuff, like the base stuff, or like AI, like the tech part of crypto. Ethereum never went up. Solana didn't even take out the all-time high, like barely took out the all-time high from 2021. Yeah, there was a cycle maybe in Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's back in the 70s. So what cycle? What cycle? There was no cycle. Matter of fact, I think people need to start getting their head wrapped around the fact that the cycle could start soon. Not stop, start. Because all the reasons that there were to buy Bitcoin, all the reasons that there were to buy ETH are still out there. Like, ETH is a network that can handle an infinite number of transactions. Now, that said, if there's a problem with stocks, the market's going to go lower. Okay? It's that simple. And we don't know what's going to happen with stocks. We don't. The monthly candlestick is terrible. The stock market is completely ridiculous and has been for a long time. The good news is, I think if there's a problem in stocks, that eventually winds up being good for crypto. And that even if you have to suffer in alts, and even if you just have to dump stuff, and we'll go into that, I'll just tell you right now, and we'll go through the charts, but I'm just going to tell you right now. Like, if you got to just take stuff from the last cycle or memes or stuff that is garbage, right? I mean, people get emotional about their bags. Of course, I get it. Especially if you want to hodl, right? But if you're hodling the wrong stuff, or you're hodling stuff from the last cycle, or, you're hodling like memes that, could go down 90% and then go down 90% again, you have to make position adjustments, right? You have to make position adjustments because you get Bitcoin in like the low to mid 70s, and that could be like the ultimate generational buying opportunity. Because I got news headlines here that says that they're probably going to do the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Like, I saw like the one headline that was like, oh yeah, okay, this could happen because RFK Jr. is involved. He was the original guy who wanted not just a strategic Bitcoin reserve, but he wanted the dollar and treasuries backed by Bitcoin. So everybody is selling Bitcoin. Everybody's giving up on this thing. And there are reasons to think that politicians could have rugged us. I get that. I totally get that. Because they're rugging people on other things that I don't want to talk about on the show. So, is it reasonable to go, yeah, they rugged us. They said everything was going to be great. And then they just backed out and walked away? Yeah. But is that realistic? No. Because honestly, from their point of view, like, for example, with the Orange Man is in real estate, right? He builds buildings, skyscrapers. He's gone bankrupt a whole bunch of times. So he's used to market all the way up, market all the way down, market all the way up, market all the way down. And in real estate and skyscrapers and all that stuff, you pick all that stuff up when there's distress selling. Sometimes he's been the distressed seller. So the Orange Man is going to look at Bitcoin at 75K and go, oh my God, this thing was at 109K and Kramer was bullish. And now it's gone the other way and Kramer's bearish. Perfect time to get involved. Perfect. So, I know why it's down. I know why it could keep going. because of stocks. But, if the Fed comes in and stocks calm down and Bitcoin's in the mid to low 70s or whatever, because we finally get the information as to why everyone's being liquidated, this could end suddenly. And I've always said that when forced selling ends, because that's what this is, right? It's a liquidation event. When forced selling ends, right, it just literally levitates back up. In other words, the reason I know it's forced selling now is because the market just goes down and then sits there. Okay, so the minute that that's over, the market will just literally float back. Like you probably go from 73 to 92, just float back because it's being artificially depressed with mass liquidations. Meanwhile, there's governments and corporations and, frankly, individuals that, even if you have to rotate your portfolio, you can find money to buy Bitcoin at 75 and ETH sub 2K, right? You can find money for that if you don't blow up trading perps on these exchanges that are preying on people. I mean, it's just obvious. I mean, every day there's a headline about people getting liquidated. It feels like it's pump.fun for the rest of the market. And, we have to purge that out, right? Like that's going to end. That's going to end. Okay. So that is the general idea. Let's take a brief moment to note who is here. We have Mahet, Zepedas, Thomas, Simpy, Alexandra coming in from Europe with the chocolate Hershey's kiss emoji for this lovely market. Roby says, hello, sir. Has Bitcoin reached the bottom? Bro, we're thinking soon. I'm thinking soon. SGSG, Shelly, Horace, Taz Pinball, Jelster, Old Smoky, what's up? Mimi, Grandpa Keeter, brutal month. Woo. Javier, hi Bill, Tyler, Protohypes, what's up? Grandpa Keeter, Yav, JJ, Vanessa, Maxwell, Malik, Crypto Scam, Katya, what's up? Please tell us how to survive. We'll go over it. We will. Warmon, Zach, Wolf Shirt, Christian, New Faces, what's up? Okay. So let's summarize. We're not going to issue I don't want to issue a general sell order with Bitcoin at 70 something. I don't think that makes any sense. If the stock market crashes, the stock market crashes. Bitcoin and crypto may actually do okay once the initial shock is over. Like puking out crypto in the 70s in front of the State of the Union address. Yeah, you're taking risk, but sometimes you got to take risk. I mean, when the thing was at 109, Arthur Hayes said 75. Everyone thought he was crazy. Now we're at 75. Okay. So the market corrected, and this has happened before, and I don't think we should take it any farther than that because, again, when the liquidation event is over, it can float higher. Okay. So Bloomberg down 25% from the all-time high. Folks, the reality is Bitcoin can go down 40% in bull markets. Bitcoin went down 40% in 10 days in 2017. And I know that was a different world, but they can shake you out. That was pre-crypto Twitter. Really, even though your bags have melted, this is not out of the ordinary for how crypto can behave. In fact, I think the biggest problem people have currently is that they invented a story that Bitcoin could not go down. That's what they did. They invented a story that this could not happen. And it's happening. Okay. So every big mistake starts with denial. If you assume that this thing can go into the low 70s and that would be a buying opportunity like a lot of other bull markets, okay. And the stock market has had plenty of examples that worked 2008, like 1998, where, levered players just got liquidated and the market went down and the Fed cut rates and then the market resumed, right? Because what's going on in the employment sector in Washington, D.C. and Virginia, and they're just going to keep going. And I've talked about this, right? They want rates down. So if you have stocks down, you have crypto down, you have unemployment rising, you can get rates down, right? But this is not out of the ordinary. It just hurts a lot. Now, Just Dario, who has been right as rain about this whole market. Someone very levered is blowing up in the market, and this is the key, behind closed doors, and it's pretty obvious at this point, which is true, right? Some levered player is being liquidated because the market is down only. The market isn't going down because there's something wrong with the market. The market is going down because some levered player in crypto most likely is just being absolutely liquidated because they borrowed a bunch of money, most likely from Bybit, and Bybit wants its money back. There's some kind of chain reaction going on. It could be Bybit itself. I know it's unconscionable for anybody who's been in this business to think that there could be some kind of, hybrid repeat of FTX, but the price action speaks for itself. Someone is getting liquidated, and when they're done getting liquidated, the market will resume, but the market will not resume until we know who has been liquidated and that they're done. Okay, that's it. Okay, so El Salvador, like these long-term players, these guys who can zoom out, or even if you don't use zoom out, which I kind of hate because everyone says that. I don't like that. Basically, guys who are like, look, we need a different form of money. That was true a month ago, and it's true now, right? El Salvador has built unparalleled wealth, just basically buying every dip and hodling. The same thing with Sailor, and they're going to do it again. They're just going to keep doing it until it doesn't work. And I don't know, they survived 2022. So this to them is a joke. It's like, what? It's a 25% drop. Who cares? Now, of course, alts, your bags, I get it. But, a lot of stuff that needed to get purged is being purged. If you own that stuff, my heart goes out to you. I'm empathetic. I even saw Benjamin Cohen last night, really having empathy for people. He's a big ETH and altcoin hater. Even he was being empathetic. And I'm empathetic. People getting wiped out here, right? They tried to bet on what they thought was good. They were hopeful. They got in crypto and they got smoked. The simple fact of the matter is big players who think long-term and big players who have made money buying dips are going to continue to do so, right? So here again, this is the problem. Like these headlines, people are numb to this. $215 million liquidated in the cryptocurrency market in the past 60 days. Now, I didn't really fully understand this until some guy who's been tweeting about it. I actually have one of them in here. Let me get this straight. When $215 million gets liquidated, it doesn't necessarily mean $200 million in spot crypto got sold, because futures in, at these exchanges is not like futures in Legacy, right? Legacy just transfers money from winners to losers, right? If you make some bet at an exchange, right? You basically, it's like a bet. It's like, you're betting, you're 50x levered that Bitcoin goes up, and if Bitcoin goes down, they just take your whole account, basically, right? If you're 50x levered, or even if you're 5x levered and you make a big bet, you just wiped out. And where's that money go? Well, right into Binance's pocket, because it's like a casino. I kind of see that now, because again, I'm a news guy, I'm a market guy, right? I see these headlines like, what is this? Like $200 million liquidated. 3 days later, $200 million liquidated. Where's this money going? Oh, it's going into CZ's pocket. Why do you think CZ keeps saying, oh, don't worry, everything's fine. Everything's great. Please come on in, make a 5x levered bet. At least in Vegas, you get free drinks in a hotel room and a show. When you gamble like this, they're just taking your money. It's like pump.fun on a big scale. So just take your money, take your money, take your money. And then when Bitcoin gets to a certain level, their trading desks are going to come in and they're going to hoover up everyone's capitulation. They're going to hoover up anything. Who the bottom, the people standing at the bottom. So it's not just Michael Saylor. BlackRock's got the ETF. So, they may have to buy or sell, but every hedge fund, every big player who missed the up move, right? They're going to be standing down there waiting to get your crypto, your spot. Because this is all leveraged BS. That's, they're using the leveraged BS and the liquidation event to push everyone out. And it's working because people are like, fear greed is at 10. Fear greed at 10 means no one wants to touch it. No one wants to buy it. Fear greed at 10 is not necessarily bullish in the short term because it means there's no buyer. There's no bid at all, which means you can have a huge heave, which is what started last night with this GAN seasonal event. But these characters at these big exchanges, this is why it's DeFi forever. Anybody who's playing in these markets is out of their mind. I mean, maybe professional traders, but again, it's just pump.fun, and the market's going to go down until it stops. That's it. SEC says meme coins are generally not securities under federal law. No, you're right. They're not securities. And you know what? I figured this out. This came to me last night. So let's think about pump.fun for a second. And I haven't looked at the radium chart. I don't think they have to right now. But you know what these guys are going to do? They're going to drop every lawsuit, which they have, right? They're dropping all the lawsuits, all the stupid ones. And you got to ask yourself an important question. Who is responsible for pump.fun and just the total human destruction that created, right? Just like it's like feeding sheep to lions. Who's responsible for that? Is it pump.fun? No, because how do pump.fun coins get to the market? The answer is radium, right? In other words, if radium is an exchange that has some central point of control, they made a decision, or somebody did, or a mechanism existed for pump.fun to launch coins to radium. So if the SEC pays somebody a visit and wants to know where the lawsuits are going to go or who's responsible for pump.fun, it's probably the exchanges, again, the exchanges who allowed it. I realize that it's a DEX, and I just said you want to be as decentralized as possible with your trading, okay? The excess is being purged out of the market. And the people who were good, like Ripple or Coinbase or Uniswap or all these people that were getting sued for sport, they're dropping the case against them. But I hope they go after whoever is doing this with, say, pump.fun, and I hope somebody takes a look at these, at these leveraged casinos and what's going on behind the scenes and whether or not they actually have reserves to cover a hack or an event. Because I got an opinion about the hack too, but we haven't gotten to that yet. Okay, SEC drops Coinbase, right? All right, so here's Mike giving us some hope and some simultaneous cringe. I was just out here in this area. It's beautiful. It's incredible. Everybody talks about like what's going on in like downtown San Francisco, but then when you drive around, like, I don't know, I guess you can call it the suburban parts. Oh my God. It's so beautiful. It's incredible. Right. So he's opening Presidio Bitcoin. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but Mike's not going to stop. Now, of course, Mike, the cover of Forbes, the changing of the name of the company, him posing with the strategy logo, that was your classic top, right? It was Mike on Forbes, followed by Coinbase on a race car, followed by Kanye, and that was the end, right? And then you had a leverage blow up, which was terrible. I mean, I knew that this GAN seasonal thing, that nothing good was going to happen, but I had no idea it was this. And that's the problem with these hacks and all the stuff. There's just no transparency. You can't see what's happening. And it happens in legacy too. Frequently, you don't know who's blowing up until later. But this thing in crypto is scary because it's been going on now for a week and we have no idea what's going on. Meanwhile, Mike is like, well, great. You guys do what you want to do. At the end of the day, I'm buying Bitcoin. And that's very helpful, right? So if you move beyond the cringe, right, Mike is like, I'm buying Bitcoin. I'm doing it. I'm doing it at 109. I'm doing it at 75. Because, I believe in this thing and I believe in the future of money and I believe in Web3, which is, getting decimated and no one wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about Web3 when memes were going up and now memes are going down and no one wants to talk about Web3 because it's all getting wasted. When the fact of the matter is, these things can be like generational buying opportunities if you catch if you have some idea where the low is. That's all. Okay, so Mike is like, look, do what you have to do, sell a body part, keep going. At least someone's bull posting the market. I don't think anyone is. At least he is. Okay, now this is the case to stop in the 70s for Bitcoin and for the whole market. So Cynthia Loomis, who has been literally the only person who is like remotely keeping their promises from the administration about talking and moving crypto forward. Like the states backed off, we haven't heard anything from the feds. The only person is Cynthia. And finally, somebody got the idea to talk to the original guy, which is why I was so heavily into this dude, RFKJ, right? Somebody finally talked to RFKJ because he was the original guy who said we need to be back in treasuries and Bitcoin with a strategic reserve. We just don't need to own it. Like, okay, here's our big lump of Bitcoin. We need to use it. Use it. That's a John McAfee thing, right? Get cryptocurrency and don't necessarily hoard it for trading. That was his word. Use it. And RFKJ wanted to use it. So if Cynthia picks up RFKJ's rhetoric or plan, and then that eventually winds up on the orange man's desk, because I don't know how he can ignore this. I don't know, especially with the Trump meme coin, right? See, that's the linchpin. Like the Trump meme coin effectively was him selling over the top of everyone who loved him. That's what happened. Now, I don't think he intended that to happen, but that's what happened. So either he embraces crypto or he winds up getting in trouble over this meme coin, and his wife too. Because remember, that was a borderline rug. So if I was the orange man and my wife's credibility was on the line, I would do the strategic Bitcoin reserve. That's what I would do. I would come out on March 4th and I would be like, you know what? We are not going, and I'll give you the speech. If you want the speech, I'll give you the speech. You ready? So I'm the orange man. I step up to the podium and I know that North Koreans are behind this hack. Okay. Now we'll know who's behind the North Koreans. That would be the Chinese, right? The Chinese tried to take down the stock market with DeepSeek, right? NVIDIA is going to get exposed. They take down NVIDIA. They take down the stock market. Then the Chinese send in the North Koreans, right, to hack the market. To hack the market, it embarrasses Trump. It all goes down in his face, and that's the Chinese pushing back. And if I was Trump, I would get up and say, you know what? You are not going to deter us from a growth industry. We are going to send SEAL Team 6 after these hackers. You're going to wish you were never born, and we're doing the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Because you're not going to embarrass the United States. You're not going to deter us from a growth industry, and we're not going to take any of your nonsense. We're not. We're going to hunt you down, and we're going to get RFK and Cynthia out front, and we're doing this, period. Like, if the market just went down because of some stupid reason, then maybe he would back off. But because it was a geopolitical actor, it's a perfect presidential opportunity to say, yeah, we're not letting these communist you-know-whats knock us off our course. So if you just sold, you made a mistake. Or if you doubted me, you made a mistake. That's what I would say. And that fits perfectly, right? Because again, it was a foreign actor that got this whole thing started. Got us started, right? So this guy, is notorious for his political views, some of which are becoming a little bit mainstream, but he got debanked a long time ago for, whatever reason. He's ridiculously controversial, but all of his merch and all his whole business is in Bitcoin, right? The guy's whole net worth is in Bitcoin. That's how he sells like his hats and stuff like that. So this guy's off politics and on Bitcoin. Like first at 90, he was like, tweeting at Elon and president to make it stop. And then, at 83, he was losing his mind. And then at 80, he posts this. Pretty interesting, huh? On sentiment. Like fear, greed at 10 temporarily means no one will touch it. When you start to see this is more bullish than fear, greed, I think. Fear greed is like, I don't want to touch it. That's bad. That's lack of buyers in the market. When you see this type of sentiment, it leads towards revulsion, meaning people are just absolutely panicking. They're losing their mind. They don't want to touch it. The states are backing off. The ninnies and equities are selling the Bitcoin ETF. And I actually think that tweets like this are more bullish than fear greed. Fear greed, fear greed could go from 10 to 40 in a second. But fear greed at the moment means there's no buyers. That's what it means. No one wants to take the other side of the forced selling, which is why you can get totally stupid price action. Today is the big GAN day. So today, tomorrow, or maybe there's a final Saturday heave. The market likes doing Saturday heaves, but this is telling you that people are getting emotionally upset and they're not seeing what they need to see. They're not seeing the big picture, and they're not seeing how the Orange Man or RFK or Cynthia Loomis are going to react to 70-something Bitcoin, period. Now, Kramer, right? So Kramer, I couldn't find the tweet, but Kramer was bullish Bitcoin at the absolute high. Somebody said it was like almost the high tick, meaning, he came out and said everybody should have Bitcoin in their portfolio at 109. And this happens when you have to talk every day. I mean, I don't know if he does this on purpose for marketing, but when you talk every day, you can get caught up in the emotions of the moment, which is why sometimes I have to kind of like step back a little bit and think. But Kramer's basically saying that MicroStrategy is a disaster at the low. Now, what's happened is, MicroStrategy is still worth as a stock a lot more relative to the Bitcoin that it holds. It's a fancy legacy spreadsheet thing. Okay. And we know that MicroStrategy is overvalued because a lot of players in the world can't get involved in Bitcoin. They can only buy MicroStrategy stock or anything that they issue in legacy markets. And of course, Kramer notes that at the low, right? It's the low. It's almost over. We don't know who's selling. And as soon as we do, it'll go back to 90. That's it, right? This, and this is more bullish than fear greed. Fear greed to me at 10 is a little scary because it means there's no one down there if they heave it again. But this means you have revulsion. This like the stock guys like, oh my God, this MicroStrategy stuff, I can't touch it. And then guys who own Bitcoin are just like, they assumed it couldn't go down, and that's not good. And when they panic like this, that's a buy on the next heave, right? Okay, so this guy, Marty Party, really like this guy. People, you are being shaken out by Binance. Don't give them your assets. Use their leverage flush to accumulate more assets and move to self-custody. That's how you win. They will turn and flush the billions of shorts after they are satisfied enough longs and paper hands have been shaken out. Accumulate spot on their dips. Do not use high leverage. They will flush any high leverage until degens are capitulated. I mean, I don't know if this is like the one chart market update. I make these jokes. That's the one tweet market update. That's it. That's it. It's like we're being preyed on by our own people. First, it was Pump.Fun and Radium. Now it's Binance and Bybit. These guys are not your friends. CZ is not a hero. He's not. He's like a shark like everyone else. He's taking everybody's money in hundreds of millions of dollars increments, and his trading desks and smart money is hoovering all this up. And then again, like he said, everyone will get short, and then they'll turn around and make hundreds of millions of dollars on the way up because it'll just levitate. You see, this guy's right. Like as soon as we find out who's selling, and as soon as they've sold the last little whatever, or they've liquidated the last levered whatever, it'll just levitate. It'll just levitate. Because that's what happens when forced selling ends. And we've seen that in some coins. We've seen it in we saw it in Litecoin and Zcash, which of course was bearish. Litecoin and Zcash, we were on the podcast with the Kaizen guys, went up like 10% while we're on the podcast. And I'm just like, it's bearish. Because every time Zcash and Litecoin outperform, the market goes down. And then on cue, boom, market goes down. But when the forced selling has stopped in select coins, you have seen these levitations. Now, the levitations are getting sold. mainly because they're coins from the last cycle. But this guy is right. You do not want to give everybody high quality crypto. You don't. You don't. And you don't want to be, even if you have to adjust your position, I always say this, but if you have to get out of sludge, then get out of the sludge. If you did a bad trade, who cares? I got stopped out of shit. I thought I was selling the low. I was like, oh, like the only thing that survived is Bitcoin and antivirus, which is funny. I mean, I don't want to crow because nothing outperforms forever, but the valuation of antivirus is so low, right? That all this other stuff that was worth 50 and $100 million getting wasted, and people are putting money into like small cap value stuff that really, it can't go any lower. The support is at zero. It's funny, right? A solid reminder. Okay. So I just remind everybody that forced selling continues. And then this tweet from John McAfee from 2019. Do not, under any circumstances, panic at any drop in price, sudden or otherwise. Surely I have demonstrated that short-term fluctuations have absolutely no meaning. Just check the price once every 2 or 3 months if you want to be pleased each time you check. This is why they made an AI agent out of John McAfee. He wrote the Declaration of Cryptocurrency Independence and was brave enough to fight off every bad guy on the planet to the point where he regretted it, but he still fought. This is correct, right? In other words, Bitcoin's at 109. Oh, look, Bitcoin's at 70. It's like, well, how long did that take? A month? A month. And when they get done with the forced liquidation, it'll go back to 90. That's it. Right. And if it's not zoom out, it's just understand why the market is going down and not doing that. If you got bad positions, get rid of them. You did a bad trade, who cares? All the Kaizen guys, all the trading guys will tell you that. They all use stops. They all do risk management. Okay. But at the end of the day, this is what's going to matter. Particularly if you get Bitcoin to 70s or you get some final heave. And as soon as we find out who's doing this, it'll end. The second we find out who's getting liquidated, it's over. It's over. Just like in Legacy, when it hits the front page of the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, the Fed will cut rates and it'll go up. That's the way it used to be. And that's exactly what's going to happen in crypto. Largest Bitcoin holders buy the dip, 1.28 billion as fear greed hits rock bottom. Okay, here's fear greed. Temporarily, I don't think that's good because you could have things give out. But if you're a long-term player and you're watching everyone panic, you're like, yeah, we're going to hoover this up. It's like discount shopping for these guys. Okay, I actually got this article from some really smart people I used to work with back in the day. Right? So if $5 billion worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum options expire today. So a lot of times options expiration can lead to wild price action. It doesn't necessarily lend itself to technical analysis. You just kind of let it all happen. Just let it happen. Most likely you come in Monday morning, and especially if we find out who's liquidating, maybe there's one final puke on Sunday night because people are scared of stocks. Fine. I don't think the Fed is going to let the stock market crash in front of the State of the Union. They're essentially going to make a deal with the orange man. You stay out of here with Elon and we'll keep the stock market up. And the orange man's going to go, okay. And that deal has probably already been done because you notice everyone has shut their mouth about Fort Knox, right? We're not going to Fort Knox. We're not going in the Fed. We're not going into Treasury. You don't want to know how the sausage is made. So shut up and fire IRS agents or whatever it is you're doing. Stay out of our face and we'll keep the market up. I'm guessing that's the deal that's been made. I'm praying that it doesn't, if this bleeds over into stocks and you have an event there, okay, that's a problem. I'm betting that a deal has been made with the Fed. Everything that I'm telling you hinges on that. Okay. Now, charts. So this will be the freak out trade of the weekend, right? This is the monthly candle in the S&P. So obviously this is no bueno, right? You have the DeMark 13 top And then you've got these candlesticks where you wick up and come back down, close on a low. Not good. That's called a shooting star. And this 5 and this 0 means, it's essentially over for S&P. It's done, right? This is not going up anymore. Like if you want upside returns, you're going to have to go somewhere else, right? QQQ, it's the same thing. But again, in S&P, tariffs, trade wars, all this stuff affected crypto. It has nothing to do with crypto. Nothing, zero. If anything, it should be affecting stocks. So these charts are terrible, and undoubtedly over the weekend, you'll hear about it. All right. But, I'm essentially making a bet that outside of like one final heave until we find out who this is, you'll take this seriously. I want to take it seriously in the fall, not now. But Mr. Market will decide. Okay, so what do we got going on here? We got Bitcoin. We got a 13 bottom. Now, again, a 13 bottom is not a 13 bottom until it turns and goes the other way. It's got to go the other way first. And you got a lot of support down here at 79. They hit the support. There's a lot of reasons to think this could end now or Monday. That's pretty much it. Solana is the same thing, right? So Solana, 13 bottom. Okay. They run the stops. They get everybody out, make it look horrible, turn around and reverse it. Like, I kind of hate pump.fun. And, I'm so sick of that. I hate it, right? Because people got hurt. Like little people got hurt over and over and over again, physically, financially. All right, but whatever. This is a bottom, right? This looks like a bottom. If you just look at it objectively, it's a bottom, right? ETH might have 2 more days or 1 more day, right? Today's the 12th. Tomorrow's the 13th. The 13 candle, I should say. What rationale is there for being negative on ETH, right? Everybody wanted to run Vitalik out of town because Ethereum wasn't Solana, and Vitalik got pretty depressed. We all got depressed. I'm depressed. I'm not going to lie to you, right? We were on a Kaizen podcast talking about this 2 days ago. It's like, oh my God, psychologically, this is just, you're just getting wasted. But if you look at the ETH monthly chart, the thing that's so funny is that the way this DeMark work is signaling, like this is a 12 and March could be 13. You could have a 13 bottom in ETH on a monthly chart. And if you look over here, and I continue to believe this, and Benjamin Cohen said this last night, right? He was like, hey, it's not a bottom in ETH, right? Until you get Ethereum versus Bitcoin at a bottom. And these little plus signs in this 8 means that you could have a 13 and a 9 bottom on the next heave lower in Ethereum. So if Ethereum underperforms Bitcoin, however that works, one more time, like there's the February and then March, you could have a major freaking bottom in Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Because, the Fed may have to come in and put high-powered money in the system to prevent the stock market from crashing. And what Benjamin Cohen was essentially saying, I only listened to the first part of the video, I only had to, is that ETH does well when the Fed puts money in the market. And the Fed is going to have to put money in the market if they don't want the stock market to go down. That's it. So, if you wake up and ETH is like cascading lower, or there's like one more huge heave, it could actually be a bottom. There is a lot of bottom signals if you look at DeMark work. A lot. So this thing is ripe. Like, again, how does DeMark work? Like, let's go back to Bitcoin, right? So when you got this signal here, you got this 13 signal. When does it like kick in? Well, it kicks in when it turns, right? That first little confirmation when it starts trending the other way. Well, again, if we're in a forced selling regime, the bad news is they can continue to heave it. They can't. They're going to heave it until we know who's doing it. But when that's over, it's going to levitate. It's going to just be like a hot air balloon. That's going to confirm the 13 signals, and we're going to be off to the races again, right? And then the Fed's going to have to put high-powered money in the system to avoid a stock market crash. Now, of course, there's always risk, right? Everyone thinks that crypto Everyone at the top thought crypto was a sure thing, right? It's like, oh yeah, it's definitely going up. It's going up forever. It's going to $13 million a coin. And guess what? That's not how crypto works. They blow you out. They shake you out. Now you have to live with the risk that equities are going to blow up next week because the candles are terrible. The charts are terrible. Everyone's over levered. Everyone's talking like there's a 1987 crowd, and there's a 2008 crowd, and then there's a both crowd in stocks. Your bet is that the stock market doesn't give out. And if the stock market doesn't give out and the forced selling ends in crypto, you're going to have a rally that you can't believe. Because again, it's all forced selling. So the signals are there. All right, now let's go to Lux Algo. So Bitcoin, to keep it simple, super simple, on a daily chart, goes through the 200-day moving average. That's the white line. It goes from the premium zone where it was stuck. I will never buy anything into premium zone again, ever. Maybe if I have to take a 2-week vacation from the show. So it goes to the premium zone on Lux Algo, and then it turns around and goes down to the equilibrium zone, which has been going on in every crypto all for 2 years, right? Premium, equilibrium. Then it goes back up again. It's exactly what's happened. What's the problem? There's no problem. There's no problem at all. If it wasn't your bags and it wasn't your crypto and it wasn't you personally and how you felt about it, you'd look at that and be like, oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine, right? If you didn't know what it was, right? So Bitcoin on a 4-hour chart has gotten stupid, meaning, it's gone lower and lower and lower as like the oscillator matrix is making higher lows. You've had multiple bottom signals and you're at the discount zone on a 4-hour chart. Why would you sell it at the discount zone on a tactical chart and equilibrium on a 4-hour chart? And I think if you look at ETH, I don't know. ETH could be like, ETH is at the discount zone on the 4-hour chart. You got extreme exiting going on, just like you did in February. And then I don't know where ETH is on the daily chart. You know what I'm saying? Like ETH is at the discount zone. Like, why are you selling ETH? Like, it has not paid ever to buy the premium zone, and it has never paid to sell the discount zone unless it's a dead coin, unless it's just dead, right? Which, is happening in alts and stuff from the last cycle. It's just, like I said, it's dead. XRP, right? So XRP, everyone gets super bullish. XRP does this super negative thing and breaks out of this triangle. That's bad. That's, we saw this in XRP. We saw this in Ondo. Saw it in a couple different places. We're like, oh, okay, well, that's bad. Figuring, this is not a catastrophic liquidation event. And our friends at all these overseas exchanges just, they blow up. But again, even though it's bearish, XRP is at equilibrium. The 200-day moving average is at 179. Who knows if there's going to be a wick lower down there. But again, it has not paid at any point to sell XRP at the equilibrium zone. And it's an American-made crypto. So why would you sell XRP sub $2 in front of the State of the Union when everyone's given up and it's at the discount zone on the 4-hour chart? I mean, again, it presses. There's nobody buying because that's what fear greed's telling you, right? There's no bid. They sell. Smart money is most likely taking it because, smart money doesn't believe fear greed at 10, right? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people that are bullish are hoovering up everyone's crypto. Okay. So there's no bid at the discount zone, just like there was no one wanted to sell at the premium zone. And then, they just crush it. Turns around and turns around. And everyone's like, if it wasn't their bags or if it wasn't a big coin, if it wasn't all over the news, you look at this picture and go, oh yeah, they sold it at the premium zone and they bought it at the discount zone. And if it wasn't XRP, that's what you would say. If I told you it was a stock and I said, well, what would you do with this? It goes, oh yeah, it's a great buy, right? You got bullish divergence everywhere. A couple guys on Twitter have noted that. right? All right. So let's look at something that's most likely gotten completely monkey hammered, like Arrow. So I don't know. Arrow has a lot of volatility. I don't know if that's because they have a staking situation or why. When Arrow moves around, it's just completely freaking wild, right? But, Arrow goes to the premium zone and then it goes to the discount zone. So it wasn't a buy at 220 and it's not a sale at 50 cents. And the give up trade that's going on here in Arrow, people are sick of this all the way up, all the way down stuff, and I don't blame them. I get it. But why would you sell ETH DeFi at these prices? You know what I'm saying? Like if you had to sell sludge, so I'm calling memes and everything from the last cycle, right? If you had to just sell stupid stuff to roll back into this to remain sane and capture value going forward, because I don't think whoever is levered long out there who's getting liquidated is selling Arrow. I really don't think so. There are plays out there that make sense. And, even Cardano, I mean, look at Cardano at 60 cents. Wow. Right. It's like, this is not, I mean, of course, if things go terrible, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about it. But I mean, this to me doesn't feel like a sale. It feels like a buy after they get done heaving it one last time, right? Whatever that looks like, which could have been today, right? All we need to know is who's selling. As soon as we find that out, it's going to go back to 90. Okay, so let's talk about, I don't know. Let's talk about whether or not we're going to have a waterfall. So this is total crypto market cap, right? And if you want to look at bearish charts, these probably are the bearish charts, right? So you have mass liquidation going on. You have you have Lux Algo buy signals right here, right now. It's sitting at the equilibrium zone, but it's like, ugh, it's scary. This is more scary than any chart of any one coin. Because, if this area around 2.6 trillion gives out, you're talking about, you're talking about unwinding the whole election move, which a lot of guys think. And if you have a stock market crash, like if the stock market goes down 25 or 30%, that's what's going to happen. I'm just telling you, that's the risk. The reward is if you grab it in the 70s, it'll go back to the 90s, and then it'll eventually make a massive new high because we need a new form of money. The risk is the risk is that stocks will go down and it'll vaporize. That's it. Okay, so this we drew yesterday, right? So here's total altcoin market cap. We don't have we don't have all of the Lux Algo signals yet for a bottom. It's like trying to poke its head below this triangle, and that's not good. That's not. Now, what this leads me to believe is, again, we don't know who's selling, and it's not going to go up until we do. And this chart tells you that, right? It's like, they could have a last heave. They could be heaving it right into the State of the Union, just like they were heaving it right into the election. I don't have the exact date pinned down. But if you get Bitcoin at like 72 and then 73, and then the rest of the market is cascading lower, that's probably a buy. And that could happen. So, I mean, don't go out and buy something today and then get all upset if it's lower in 4 days. Don't do that. But if you're going to be like, hey, this doesn't look great, but there are a lot of things that do, right? Like this, like in Bitcoin, like I said, you haven't seen a 13 bottom in Bitcoin in a long time. The last 13 bottom that you saw in Bitcoin was in September of last year, probably off this yen carry trade thing. And what was amazing about this bottom is that you didn't really get confirmation until like October. So even though it went up, you kind of had to be like, well, it's not 100% confirmed yet, but then they caught you, right? They caught you sleeping, and then it just went up only. Okay. This was the 13 bottom. I don't know. Yeah, this might have been the yen carry trade in July. Perfect 13 bottom, stops, sits here for 5 days, makes you wonder, and then boom. Now, Will this be a tactical bottom or a permanent bottom? We don't know yet. We don't know. Okay. But, you know, you have total revulsion. And if you wanted to dip, you've got the dip. And all you need is, 1 or 2 days or 3 days of this or 3 hours. I don't know. Right. If it's horrible on Sunday night, I mean, crypto loves to get destroyed over the weekends. I mean, this is where you are at 80 or sub 80. Where are you going to be at 72? People are going to be losing their mind. And you just don't want to be one of those people. So you have to adjust your position so that you can be sane and take advantage of it. Because if you wind up in this Binance shredding machine, you can lose all your capital. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. That's the point of the show. Don't lose all your capital, right? Because everybody who's in pump.fun and everyone who's getting liquidated in this leveraged casino, they're not going to have the money to buy the spot. They're not going to have it. And it's going to thin out the market. So again, once everyone's done selling, if retail, the ultimate pain trade is that retail doesn't have the capital to buy as institutions levitated higher, followed by some kind of macro event where everyone goes, yeah, I want an alternative form of money. And I got all down on ETH, but ETH is this huge network that can do things. And it's not a rug chain. So let's get involved in ETH. And then all of a sudden, you're like one news item away or two news items away, right? Who's selling? And then who's going to take advantage of the down move? That's all you need. That's it. So CME Group, right, wants to launch Solana futures. So I guess this is good for Solana to have futures and an ETF so you can absorb the selling from the validators because trading is not free. It's not. They just give this, it's just the validators get paid not through gas somehow, but they get paid in Solana and then they dump the Solana. So all the free trading like kind of caps the price of Solana. Nothing is free. But if there's a futures contract and then an ETF, that's good for Solana, right? But again, everybody ignores these things. They ignore these things and it doesn't matter until it does, which was like Kanye and Dave Portnoy at the top, and then the Solana futures and whatnot at the bottom. Now, again, you have to be really careful. This is my final word. You still have to be careful about failed rallies. Like if they do a Solana rally off this and it doesn't hold, you have to be careful about that. You don't want to see, no matter what kind of signals you got on charts, failed rallies are still bad. Now, that said, this has to be close to ending, like days. Don't underestimate, because of the whole fear greed thing, that there may not be any bid if it goes down again. Right? It may be just bidless because no one wants to get involved, which is why as soon as it stops, it levitates higher. So don't listen to me and go, oh, it's going to levitate higher and then lose it if it lurches lower again. Right? In order for it to levitate, you've got to have like the ultimate lurch, which either occurred last night. Obviously, we don't know who's selling. So how can I possibly tell when it's going to happen? The bet is, it's simple. The bet is that they're going to liquidate the spot. They're going to liquidate pump.fun. They're going to liquidate the levered players, and they're going to liquidate whoever got hacked. And then the real case for crypto is going to be brought up by either the Orange Man, Michael Saylor, or the market, where everybody goes, I'm done with whatever's going on in legacy, and I want Bitcoin. Oh, awesome. Look, it's 30% off its high. How nice. How nice. I mean, everybody who thought they missed it is now buy the capitulation of everybody who paid 100. You can buy their capitulation and ride it for 2 years. Who's talking about 2 years from now? Nobody except my business partner, Toby. She's like, look, dude, where's this going to be in a year? Right? Where's this going to be in a year? Hang on. Here we go. Getting started early, right? Just when you think they're all going to walk away, Orange Man wants Trump world, right? don't blow this off. These guys are not going to stop. They're definitely not going to stop because some North Korean, communist, Chinese, whatever, messed up crypto. There is no way that's happening. None. So everyone's like, oh, Trump rugged us. Okay. No, you got rugged by people inside of crypto, Pump.fund, Binance, Bybit, and whatever dumb levered people or stuff that they enabled. I would not be giving up on crypto, especially with this news. Eagle King just sent it to me. He's like, dude, don't forget this. Bitcoin, 70 something, Bitcoin low 80s, Bitcoin low 70s, whatever it is. Dude, they're going to be standing down there. They're going to be standing down there waiting for it. Okay, people, that's the market update. We'll see you Monday.